the title of the film, it's just a 10-minute film, is Confronting an Unjust Cultural Narrative. Because until Voodoo can realize its potential to affect change in Haiti or anywhere else, it needs to overcome the gross mischaracterization that it's been suffering for centuries now. And it continues today. It's promulgated by other churches, by media, by popular culture, has a good time making Voodoo into voodoo, and it's all scary, and it's got zombies and voodoo dolls and poisons and stuff like that. So part of the Milocom project is to deflate that abstract mythology in order to elevate Voodoo as an institution in Haiti, so that it actually can actuate its potential to help people improve the quality of life. Now, the reason that it has the potential to do this is because it is, and I think I can say this without exaggerating, Haiti's oldest, deepest, and most widespread spiritual and cultural institution. There is, you get a lot of answers when you ask how many people celebrate Voodoo, down to as low as 1%, and up to the old saying that it's that Haiti is 75% Catholic, 25% Protestant, and 100% Voodoo. That actually is pretty close to what I've experienced. I don't think that it's very easy to determine exactly how many people celebrate Voodoo, because many people are afraid, depending on where they live and what's going on, to declare that they are, in fact, Vodouisant. But I have seen peristyle, which are the Voodoo churches, all over, in every village, in every town, in every city, on every street. Sometimes there are 2 or more in a block. They are well attended, and the best explanation of how many people actually celebrate Voodoo that I've heard is that many people have religious affiliations with something other than Voodoo, but in one way or another, Voodoo is part of their life, spiritually and physically. It is really hard to separate Voodoo from culture, from Haitian culture. So much of Voodoo is Haitian culture, the music and the cosmological view of things. So the Voodoo community in Haiti is working very, very hard to do anything that it can to help improve the quality of life for all Haitians. And as I said, this is an enormous challenge for them. One of the other things is they don't have any money. So it's been my observation, though, that the most important and lasting changes come from within. There's nothing more within in Haiti than Voodoo. And having made several trips to Haiti and been around a little bit, I asked a fundamental question: why isn't Voodoo doing more? Because it seems to me that it is so representative of Haitian culture and Haitian values that it had the potential to really take a seat at the table with all the other organizations that are working to try to mitigate the suffering and provide Haiti with a better quality of life. And the reason that I use the expression beyond charity is because right now, the typical style of aid is necessary in Haiti. They need deliveries of food and medicine. They need doctors, they need engineers, they need teachers, they need that stuff, but they've become dependent on it. And the need isn't diminishing, it's accelerating, and the situation is deteriorating. So we need to move beyond that model of charity, of giving to, and provide the seeds so that Haiti can plant the seeds that will become the food for the next generation upon generation upon generation. I think that one of the ways we can do that is through this very, very venerable and powerful cultural institution called Voodoo. We can talk more about that. I think that the best thing to do is watch this 10-minute sort of introduction to the idea, and I hope that you'll have some questions and we can have a discussion afterwards. And at some point, I have a movie that's about an hour long, a documentary of how I got involved in all this, that sort of chronicles my immersion into the Haitian Vodou culture and the birth of the Milocom project. And we could perhaps make that available to any of you who are interested, and at some later point come together and have a conversation about it. So let's see what comes out of this video, and what questions you might have, and then we'll take it from there. I've been a drummer all my life. Drumming has been and continues to be the adventure of my lifetime, providing me with the opportunity to get to know people in my community and in communities all across the United States and around the world. I've studied a variety of drumming styles from West Africa and the African diaspora. The drumming that touches my soul is the ceremonial drumming of Haiti, the drumming of Voudou. Voodoo, the word is heavy with connotation. For many, it is synonymous with dark magic and sorcery. The word spawns visions of zombies and dolls full of pins. In fact, the image of Voodoo promulgated by popular culture is horrifying, and it's very rare to stumble across anything that suggests a different narrative. And while elements of the practice of Voodoo are unfamiliar to many of us, the idea that Voodoo is inherently evil is a gross mischaracterization. Voodoo is based on a blend of African, Taino, and Catholic spiritual traditions. It is religion, it is culture, it is community. It supports and promotes physical and spiritual well-being. It has been described as the axis upon which Haiti turns. Voodoo promotes the idea that there is an overarching power of goodness and love, containing all things and contained within all things. Most Vodouisans call this energy Bon Dieu, meaning simply good God. The various specific energies of the universe that surround us every day, for example, love, courage, music, healing, fertility, the power of the sea, are represented by a vibrant array of individual entities called Loa. The Loa are analogous to demigods and saints of other traditions. The Loa interact with people at ceremony by mounting or possessing, temporarily and benignly, the body of a celebrant. I have the privilege of drumming for Vodou ceremony in every part of Haiti. I've experienced firsthand the welcoming acceptance of the Vodou community. Vodou embraces the inherent worth of every individual, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, age, or sexual orientation. I've met many members of Haiti's LGBTQ community who find sanctuary, safety, and complete acceptance in Vodou. Many Vodouisans live in close-knit communities called Lakou. They practice community agriculture and support each other by sharing skills, labor, and childcare. The leader of the Lakou, an Ungan or Mambo, male or female member of the Vodou clergy, provides spiritual guidance, leads ceremony, and is usually highly trained in herbal medicine. The Unfo, the inner sanctuary, is stocked with bottles and jars full of herbal remedies. Vodouisans celebrate by drumming, dancing, and singing prayers. They honor specific Loa on their respective feast days or seasons, often dressing in colors associated with the Loa. The ritual offering of an animal to the Loa is sometimes part of ceremony. This has nothing to do with cruelty. Offering an animal during ceremony is not only a way to honor the Loa, but a respectful affirmation of the sacrifice the spirit of the animal makes in order to feed the community. And for many, the most nourishing of what may be infrequent meals are found at ceremony. Like most religions, Vodou is at ease with death. Vodouisans view the death of the physical body as a transition into a new existence, the realm of the Loa, the realm of the ancestors. A lot of what frightens people about Vodou is the death imagery, the tombs, the skulls, skeletons, chains, and flames. Many of us associate images like this with darkness, the end of life, and even evil. For Vodouisans, these images don't inspire fear. Instead, they promote a general, gentle acceptance of death and serve as a reminder of the continued life of the spirit. The veil between existences is thin. Thus, family members who have passed on are still considered present in the life of the family. The ancestors are expected to guide us during this existence, and they will be there to meet us when we cross over. At some ceremonies, Vaudouisans may have the opportunity to reach out and touch the energies of their loved ones, those who continue to watch over them, those who will never be forgotten. At the time of the Haitian Revolution, Voudou offered an extraordinary level of spiritual, emotional, and physical support to a population of slaves as they struggled for 12 years to become the second independent republic after the U.S. and the first independent black republic in this hemisphere, the only nation in the world created by slave rebellion. The success of the American Revolution dealt an economic blow to England and chipped away at the bulwark of colonialism. White, primarily Christian revolutionaries had certainly rearranged the pieces, but they hadn't changed the game. However, the success of the Haitian Revolution posed an existential threat to slave-owning countries around the world, including the United States. Black-skinned revolutionaries, primarily Vaudouisans, had not just changed the game. If their success was taken up as a role model for other communities, the board might just collapse and send the pieces flying. The fledgling nation was assailed. Economic sanctions and an enormous debt, payment demanded by France in compensation for the loss of slaves, were not the only weapons of subjugation to be wielded against Haiti. A lot of Vaudou imagery and ceremonial activity is easy to mischaracterize and falsely portray as evil. The carcinogenic weapon of misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theory that would render Haiti a pariah rather than a participant in the global community and ensure internal struggle and division for as long as the mythology could be sustained is the demonization of Vaudou. This has been going on so long and is so thoroughly popularized that the political motivation behind it has been almost entirely forgotten. And Haiti is struggling. Haiti has one of the highest levels of food insecurity in the world. Most have only a few years of education. Most don't have access to clean water or electricity and do not have adequate medical care. Haiti's refuse disposal system is barely functional. Garbage, a lot of it plastic bags and bottles, is scattered everywhere. It's eventually shoveled into piles and set on fire, burning or melting enough to make room for more. Groups from around the world continue to provide much-needed aid, but the overall situation continues to deteriorate. Assistance from outside the country is absolutely necessary in alleviating suffering, but most of it doesn't provide a path towards sustainable change. Worldwide mitigation efforts have not, cannot, and will not bring sustainable change to Haiti until Haiti and Haitian culture are recognized honestly and without bias. Furthermore, if we look beneath the narrative of demonization, we see that it is Haiti's very own spiritual, cultural, and social institution, Voudou, that may have the unique ability to catalyze the healing that is required. Voudou is Haiti's oldest and deepest spiritual, social, and cultural edifice. It has the potential to help heal the compound fractures which cause the bleeding that we cover over and over again with band-aids of charity. Charity that is currently necessary and life-preserving, and upon which Haiti has become dependent. Leaders in the Voudou community are well aware of this potential, and my organization, Rhythm of Life, is collaborating with the Haitian National Confederation of Vaudouisans. We call our endeavor the Milokan Project, a reference to Milokan, the Loa that brings everything together, the energy of unity. The veve, the sacred symbol, for Milokan resembles the compass rose, all points leading to the center. The purpose of the Milokan Project is to elevate Voudou into a position where it can effectively take a seat at the table in working towards sustainable change in the quality of life in Haiti. Our goals are to deflate the abstract mythology surrounding Voudou and to spearhead the construction of cultural centers all over Haiti. The centers would provide services for the surrounding communities and be equipped to accommodate guests, providing cultural retreats. Ceremony would occur regularly, and classes would be offered in drumming, dance, song, herbal medicine, language, metalwork, painting, cooking, history, and environmental stewardship. All of this represents development in self-sustainable agriculture, increased access to herbal medicine and spiritual care, a new source of employment for hundreds of people in nearby communities, the potential revitalization of a tourist industry, and a new wellspring of national pride. So just before I would love to hear your questions and comments, but I wanted to just emphasize a couple of things. So the idea that Voodoo is evil came from the people who lost a revolution and a significant amount of money to a population of slaves who gained their independence. It turned out to be an incredibly powerful weapon in keeping Haiti from participation in the global community, because if everybody thinks that you're evil and strange, they're not going to want much to do with you. And then there was a horror novel written by a sergeant in the U.S. military when they were occupying Haiti that was outrageously popular, and then so many other novels were written about the horrors of Voodoo, and then Hollywood made some movies, and it's just kind of self-feeding, and it's grown and grown and grown. The images you saw are what I see when I'm there. I see really happy people celebrating spirit, and even under the harshest of circumstances, they find joy in each other and in their faith and their traditions and the healing that it brings them on a regular basis. So this is what the Milocom project is trying to do. First of all, clarify what Voodoo actually is, what it is not, and then the people that I am working with would really like to start cultural centers so that they can share Haiti, the real Haiti, with anybody who wants to go and learn to play the drums or dance or how to cook Haitian food or paint or metalwork, all this stuff.